Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I just want to begin this presentation with a quote that says, "The Lord makes firm the steps of the one who delights in him. Though he may stumble, he will not fall, for the Lord upholds him with his hand." Mr. Speaker, we are meeting today, April 22nd, 2 days after the glorious resurrection of our Lord. And in the spirit of reflection, I acknowledge both the challenges we face and the potential for renewal and growth. Nobody knows tomorrow's challenges. No one in this honorable house, no citizen of this country, but I can stand here today with confidence and say that St. Lucia is ready for whatever may come its way. What I know with absolute certainty is that we have been able to pay our bills. We have been able to pay public servant salaries, given civil servants salary increases, back pay and bonuses, improve the life of our pensioners, and given our young people confidence through the youth economy, while creating through the MSME program an environment for small entrepreneurs to grow their business. We are at a critical time in world history. Never before has the world been in such discord and with so much uncertainty. What our country needs now is sound leadership, perseverance, and a love for its people. Mr. Speaker, this is the leadership we have provided while putting people first. Mr. Speaker, we have planned and adapted to the challenges as they arise. This, Mr. Speaker, is the underlying secret of how we have managed our country over the past 4 years. There are those who, on the other side, speak only of harebrained schemes and illusions of grandeur for our country, with nothing to show when they were given the opportunity, except for St. Lucia left in mountain debt, economic ruin, and despair. Mr. Speaker, our country has done well over the last 4 years. We have met the prescribed economic ratios while enhancing the human development of our people. We are a country, a collective of individuals with hopes, dreams, and yes, with vulnerabilities, not a balance sheet or corporation driven by profits. It is our deep belief that the people of St. Lucia are able to manage their own destiny, creating opportunities and bringing hope to everyone, so they can rise from the margins of poverty to generate wealth for themselves and their families. Mr. Speaker, the journey from July 26, 2021 to now has required patience, dedication, hard work, and a tolerance of persistent lies and misinformation from the opposition. Mr. Speaker, my government's first order of business was to arrest the level of waste, recklessness, and corruption that characterized the United Workers' Party's management of public financing, followed by the stabilization of the economy while rebuilding the country's neglected infrastructure. In addition to achieving these feats, we experienced 3 consecutive years of economic growth and recorded the lowest level of unemployment on record. During this period, we also improved the security of our citizens, offered more diverse health services, and kept the public debt within manageable levels. These achievements have bolstered investor confidence and have attracted significant foreign and local investment that will directly improve the lives of our citizens. Mr. Speaker, it's with a deep sense of honor and gratitude to the people of St. Lucia, both here and abroad, that I stand to deliver this budget. The support has been the unwavering force that has kept me and my cabinet focused and purpose-driven to fulfill our responsibilities to the people of St. Lucia. With our guiding principles rooted in the bosom of the founding father of our party, Sir George F.L. Charles, we remain steadfast in accountability, transparency, truth, and integrity. What matters to St. Lucians, Mr. Speaker, is not how many countries a Prime Minister has traveled to or how many speeches he has delivered at balls and paid PR events. What really matters to them are the tangible improvements in their daily lives, the progress in the communities, their children having access to expanded education opportunities, that they have a decent quality of life, and the most vulnerable are cared for. Mr. Speaker, let me make it abundantly clear. There will be no new taxes in this budget. And St. Lucia remains a low tax jurisdiction. Mr. Speaker, my administration is not about glib speeches with dubious statistics and fancy unfulfilled renderings. Ours is an administration that delivers, and yes, we have delivered to the people, from the unborn child to the senior citizen. Mr. Speaker, yes, we have delivered. In my 24-25 budget, I highlighted just 36 of the many achievements of this government. Some projects which are in progress and commitments to be honored. I am pleased to report that the following have been completed. 1. We have opened the 4 technical vocational education training TVET schools. 2. We have expanded the universal health care program from the offering of free diabetes and hypertension medication to the offering of maternal and child health services, cervical cancer screening, prostate cancer screening, snake bite management. 3. We have established the 10 million MSME loan grant facility with plans to increase it. 4. We have honored the 11.5 million back pay that was not settled by the last administration. 5. We have paid an additional 34.5 million in back pay. 6. An unprecedented one-time bonus of $500 to all public servants. This year, we distributed over 1,000 grants to young people and started the loan component of the Youth Economy Agency. We increased the government's minimum pension to $725 per month. NIC's minimum pension was increased to $500 per month. We supplied 4 ambulances to the St. Lucia Fire Service to support their work. We started construction of the West Coast Fire Service substation and renovated other similar facilities. We broke ground on the Global Ports Holding GPH Castries project. We completed the construction of the custody suites, which will be opened on May 23rd, 2025. The Northern Divisional Headquarters in Grozile is now under construction and will be opened this year. The Southern Division Headquarters has been operationalized following a period of extensive renovations. The relocation of the ancillary police station has been completed. The government has supplied new equipment and 64 vehicles to the police. An additional 131 new police officers were hired. The police's K9 unit has been augmented. The tax amnesty program was extended to May 1st, 2025. LPG remained at a subsidized product with the total subsidies amounting in total to 42 million. Rice, flour, and sugar remain as subsidized products. Work on the Choiseul fishing port has been completed. A new Miku jetty and fish line facilities have been constructed and the fishermen's quarters renovated. We completed the construction and recommissioning of the Labrie Market. The Larry Sus Wellness Center has been completed and newly named, the Larry Sus Wellness Center has been completed. The newly named Lillian Harrison Wellness Center in Miku South has been renovated. The Viewfort Wellness Center has been renovated. Mr. Speaker, I would like you to note that these were ongoing projects at the time of my 24-25 budget. These are now completed projects in fulfillment of our promises. This was not the case of woulda, coulda, or shoulda. We did it. Mr. Speaker, permit me now to provide the global, regional, and local environment against which this year's 2025-2026 budget is being presented. Mr. Speaker, global economic growth was estimated at 3.2% in 2024, while it was projected to stabilize at 3.3% in 2025-2026. The figures for 2024-2025 were influenced by economic growth improvements in advanced economies, up from 1.7 in 2024 to 1.9 in 2025. The United Kingdom, the Eurozone, and Canada were all expected to have higher growth rates in 2025, while the U.S. economy was expected to decline from 2.8 to 2.7 in 2025, with its tightening of fiscal policy, among other factors. Mr. Speaker, if the uncertainty of the global environment is not enough, the recent imposition of trade tariffs by the United States on goods originating from its traditional partners and the retaliatory response by these countries, in particular China, has made the global economic outlook more unpredictable. The regional economic environment. The Caribbean region, with the exclusion of Guyana, is expected to grow by 2.5% in 2025, 0.8 percentage points above the 2024 global growth figure of 1.7. While, with the inclusion of Guyana, regional growth is expected to rise to 4.6% in 2025. Commodity exporting countries are expected to gain, while tourism-based countries are expected to grow by 2.2% in 2025. Both groups are expected to experience an increase in construction activity. Inflationary pressure should dissipate, although the uncertainty created by the U.S. imposition of trade tariffs can alter that trajectory. Mr. Speaker, most countries in the region are expected to maintain primary surpluses with a reduction in their public debts. Mr. Speaker, in spite of the uncertain global economic outlook, the ECCU is projected to grow in the range of 3.5 to 4.4 in 2025, following a strong economic performance in 2024. Tourism activity in most countries of the ECCU has returned to pre-COVID levels. The economic expansion of ECCU is expected to be bolstered by construction, post-Hurricane Beryl reconstruction, and investment in infrastructure projects. Growth in the sub-region is expected to reduce unemployment in 2025, while inflation is expected to remain stable. Mr. Speaker, the ECCU remains exposed to some downside risks, which include adverse weather conditions, capacity constraints in tourism and construction sectors, U.S. policy shifts on trade and immigration, and in some cases, a very high reliance on revenue flows from the CIP program. Mr. Speaker, based on the main macroeconomic indicators, the St. Lucia economy remains strong and trending in the right direction. Last year, the economy grew by 4.7% and is projected to grow by 4% this year after adjustments for inflation. Last year, the economy grew by 4.7% and is projected to grow by 4% this year after adjustments for inflation. This is now the fourth year of sustained economic growth. Unemployment dropped in 2024 and reached single digits in the first quarter, the lowest level on record. The debt to GDP ratio for 2024 was 73.5% in the absence of rebasing. Mr. Speaker, our fiscal position remains strong, with our country recording the third consecutive year of primary surplus, a further measure of the robust nature of our economy. Mr. Speaker, the evidence is clear. The St. Lucian economy has done exceptionally well and is heading in a very different direction than when we assumed office in 2021. Mr. Speaker, the fiscal position of the government improved in 2024. The overall deficit was 1.8% of GDP, decreasing from 3.2% in the previous year. The primary surplus was 1.4% of GDP compared to 0.2% in the previous year. The current balance moved from a deficit of EC 3.5 million in 2023 to a surplus of EC 27.5 million in 2024. Mr. Speaker, the banking sector remains robust and very liquid during 2024. Our local bank, the Bank of St. Lucia, is now the largest bank in the Eastern Currency Union, with an asset base of over 3 billion. For the year 2024, the bank is expected to record a record profit of over 100 million. Mr. Speaker, the economic growth that I spoke of in the last year was consistent with electricity consumption for that period. Last year, the level of electricity consumption increased by 6% over the previous year. There was an increase in electricity consumption in every category: commercial, domestic, hotel, and industrial. The only category in which there was a decline, according to LUSELEC data, was street lighting, an intended outcome following the government's project to replace high-pressure sodium bulbs with the more efficient solar LED bulbs. In this case, electricity consumption dropped by more than 47%. Mr. Speaker, there were other indicators supporting the economic growth of the country. Total deposits increased by 15%. The money supply increased by 8.4% and 10.8% respectively, and credit in the private sector went up by 5.1%. Mr. Speaker, where we are today is no accident and is the result of prudent and strategic management of the St. Lucian economy. Mr. Speaker, in the face of an optimistic outlook of better days ahead, there are some downside risks that must be acknowledged. The current imposition of tariffs by the U.S. on goods from its additional trade partners and the retaliatory response will reduce global economic growth, which may have adverse consequences for our tourism industry. In addition, any intensification of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine or at Gaza may also further negatively impact supply chain issues and food prices. The public debt. Mr. Speaker, it has been the government's policy to ensure that information regarding the public debt is available for scrutiny and public comments. In this regard, we have the following documents ready for public dissemination: the Debt Bulletin, comprising of debt portfolio review and the medium-term debt strategy. Mr. Speaker, the debt to GDP ratio in 2024 was 73.5%, totaling 5.1 billion. External debt accounted for 61.5%, while the balance domestic debt accounted for 38.5%. The public debt is not being made a secret. CARICRIS debt ratings for the government of St. Lucia reaffirmed adequate creditworthiness and a stable outlook. Mr. Speaker, the tourism industry remains the country's major economic driver. Stayover arrivals exceeded the best COVID-19 levels the best pre-COVID-19 levels in 2019, Mr. Speaker. 2024 was the best year for stayover arrivals in the history of St. Lucia. Total visitor arrivals grew by 16.6% 16% to 1.2 million visitors. There was a 17.5% increase in visitor spending, which was EC 3.6 billion. The food and accommodation sector contributed to 20.8% of real GDP in 2024. Increased ELIF, targeted marketing campaigns, and the hosting of major events increased the number of visitors to the island. The increase in over visitors and visitor expenditure, 3.6 billion, was equivalent to 51.8% of GDP. Spending on accommodation accounted for the largest share of visitor spending at 63.7%. Food and beverage expenses was 16.5% of total spending, while hotel activities, tours, and excursions accounted for 12%. US visitors and UK visitors contributed 56.7% and 22.8% respectively to visitor expenditure. Agriculture. Mr. Speaker, the agriculture sector is estimated to have rebounded by 10.3% in 2024, with expansions in all subsectors contributing 1.4% to real GDP. Banana production grew by 11.1%, totaling 3,993 tons. Mr. Speaker, after a relatively good first quarter for banana production, drought conditions, a shortage of banana boxes, and the spread of these spot degrees, black sticker toka, required the government to provide $2.8 million in support to farmers who suffered losses. Notwithstanding these challenges, total banana exports rose by 10.1% relative to 2023 to 2,518 tons, with regional sales accounting for 98.7% of exports. Domestic purchases from supermarkets increased by 15.9%, while hotel sales declined by 4% due to the closure of some hotels in the latter part of 2024. Non-banana crop production grew by 9.4% in 2024. The growth was due to better weather conditions, farmer resilience, and government support throughout 2024. Government support included the distribution of water tanks, fertilizers, pesticides, seedlings, protective equipment, and other inputs under the Unleashing the Blue Economy project. Revenue from non-banana crops increased by 18.3% to $19.7 million in 2024. The livestock subsector expanded by 18.2% in 2024. Production increased in all industries within the livestock subsector. Chicken and pork production increased by 29.5% in 2024 due to increased consumer demand for local chicken. Egg production increased by 5.5% to 1.8 million dozen eggs in 2024. It is worthy to note, Mr. Speaker, that large-scale operators demonstrated greater resilience and improved operational efficiencies, resulting in the increase in that subsector. Mr. Speaker, there was an overall decline in fishing due to environmental factors, less favorable ocean conditions, sargassum seaweed, and the effects of climate change. Mr. Speaker, the performance of the manufacturing sector was mixed. There was an increase in the domestic market, supported by increased tourism activity. Some subsectors experienced an overall improvement. The largest subsector, alcohol beverages, recorded a contraction owing to weaker exports. As a result, real output in the manufacturing sector declined by 9.2% in 2024. Manufacturing overall contribution to real GDP was 2.9% in 2024. The value of food output continues to grow, rising by 21.6% to 252 million, accounting for 41.4% of total manufacturing sales. The value of fabricated metal products grew by 12.2% to EC 50.1 million due to increase in construction activity. Mr. Speaker, I would like to compliment the domestic manufacturers for their exceptional resilience and hard work. Mr. Speaker, we announced the Year of Infrastructure last year, which was supported by government's removal of VAT on key construction inputs, including steel, cement, wood, and galvanized. Preliminary data suggests that the construction sector expanded by 22.4% in 2024, in line with the rise in construction imports. Consistent with this, credit for construction renovations increased by 15.6%. The construction sector's contribution to real GDP was 5.4%. Mr. Speaker, permit me to outline some of the achievements in the Year of Infrastructure. Building infrastructure. Credit to non-residential constructions rose from EC 85.2 million in 2023 to EC 168.7 million in 2024. Mr. Speaker, our citizens have begun accessing 100% financing mortgage loans from the EC $20 million facility made available to the St. Lucia Development Bank by the National Insurance Corporation. Health infrastructure. St. Jude Hospital reconstruction continues. The buildings of the former Victoria Hospital have been renovated and renamed the Sir Winston C. Paris Medical Complex. Retrofitting of the former emergency care ward is on the way and will house a new emergency care building. Expansion work at the Grosley Polyclinic has begun and is expected to be completed this year, with services of the clinic to be extended to 24 hours. Services have resumed at the renovated Cuban Eye Clinic, and the newly named Lily Harrison Wellness Center has been renovated to serve the people of Mico South. Mr. Speaker, industrial kitchens have been built at the Bishop Charles Gashi and the RC Cicero Primary Schools, with ongoing work at the Dennery Primary School in an effort to continue strengthening our school feeding programs. 4 schools will undergo expansion in the upcoming year. The Enchibo Secondary School, a 3-story new block. At the Grand Riviere School, a 2-story block. And at the Pero and Plainview School, each will receive a new 2-story block. A $1 million grant was made available to rehabilitate the science block of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. There is ongoing rehabilitation work at the Southern Division of the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. Renovation of the Passions Early Childhood Development Center is complete, while 142 school plans have been rehabilitated island-wide. Mr. Speaker, as it relates to tourism infrastructure, this government has completed and opened the Anchorage building, which houses a modern shopping complex. The Mon Lay-by has been upgraded and will be opened on April 29th. We have broken ground on the Ansferry Lookout Point and have begun work on the underground sculpture parks earmarked for Cicero and Ansferry. In terms of hotel investment, work on 22 villas rondavals at the Sanders Talk has been completed. Work has been completed at the Cabot Golf Course, with the construction of the villas now being undertaken. The Secrets Resort and Spa, formerly St. James Club, will be opened this coming June, with the Casaba Beach Resort opening this year. Mr. Speaker, I'm also happy to report that work on the Alia Resort and Spa is continuing. Work on the Big Gardens Resort extension is at an advanced stage. Work on several other hotel properties remain ongoing, along with work on Airbnb accommodations. Mr. Speaker, work at the Rodney Bay Town City Center has begun, and plans for the expansion of the Sandals Grand Hotel are on the way. Just last week, demolition began on the former Rex and Royal hotels, and I am told by the developers that over 1,400 rooms will be built in that location. Community infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, this government has invested heavily in community infrastructure, from drains to footpaths and roads to retaining bills. We continue to meet people where they are and provide critical support to improve their daily lives and surroundings. Mr. Speaker, a notable part of community infrastructure is the construction of human resource development centers. I can report that the Granville Human Resource Development Center is completed and will be opened this year. The Bar Saint Joseph HRDC has been completed and will open this year. Mr. Speaker, we are nearing completion of the Diamond Steel Pan Yard situation at the Marshall Grounds. Mr. Speaker, St. Lucia's sporting prowess has become more evident in recent years, with our athletes excelling in their various disciplines. The government has made a deliberate effort to upgrade and expand the quality of sporting facilities. Renovation of the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground has been completed. Mindu Philip Park rehabilitation has been completed, including the installation of new lights, and is presently hosting matches in the semi-professional cricket league. The roof on the pavilion at the Marshall Grounds has been replaced and players' facilities renovated. The Grosile Mini Stadium is nearing completion, while current playing field grounds is completed. The rehabilitated Wen and Cicero playing fields will be completed by May this year. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to digital infrastructure. Last year, Mr. Speaker, during the year of infrastructure, I informed members that our definition of infrastructure extended beyond buildings of roads, beyond the building of roads and bridges, and will also include digital infrastructure. I indicated that the Caribbean digital transformation would aim to, 1, build resilience to external shocks, strengthen and expand human capacity, leverage the latest technologies, adoption of a regional harmonized and modernized digital environment. Mr. Speaker, the CDTP has been progressing. The details of the progress made thus far will be articulated by the Minister for the Public Service. This year, we intend to implement the e-land registry to streamline land transactions and improve the accessibility to land records. The government will expand broadband access to communities to improve nationwide internet coverage. Plans are afoot to establish a modern government data center, a national cyber response team, and more cloud-based solutions to support public sector operations. Mr. Speaker, this year, government intends to boost the skills through training and workforce development for the Technology Innovation and Digital Innovation Program. We will strengthen the business and innovation ecosystem by giving support to small and medium-sized enterprises to adopt digital technologies to improve their business operations. We will strengthen the national cyber security policies to protect government and private sector assets, enhance the legislative and regulatory framework to ensure that digital transformation is secure, transparent, and inclusive. Mr. Speaker, the objective is to increase job creation through the adoption of innovative job opportunities, including software development, cyber security, data analytics, and IT services. The enhancement of digital skills is expected to attract foreign investment and position St. Lucia as a hub for digital innovation in the Caribbean. Digital. Mr. Speaker, last year I informed honorable members that we had been seeking to provide government services through a web-based one-stop government shop. I'm pleased to report that the system is in place with 26,000 registered users and 45 government services are available. The services are expected to expand. Government Integrated Network. The GINet program has been successfully implemented and is providing Wi-Fi services at 47 locations. As a result, the number of sites on GINet has been increased to 97. Mr. Speaker, under this program, a digitization center will be created to digitize government documents which will be placed online to assist with the retrieval and storage of government documents. The goal of this program is to improve the quality and operational efficiency of government services. Mr. Speaker, to achieve this goal, a contract has been signed for the use of Google Document AI software to be used at the digital center. Last year, Mr. Speaker, we indicated that the government would introduce a new financial management system, Cloud Suite, to replace SmartStream. I can report that Cloud Suite has been implemented and is meeting its objectives. Mr. Speaker, funding for the upgrade of the tax system has been secured, and implementation is expected to be over a 3-year period. We are fully aware of the complexities associated with such a transformative project and are putting strategies in place to ensure successful and timely delivery. The system upgrade is expected to enhance taxpayers' confidence. It will ensure that our tax administration keeps pace with the demands of a modern economy while remaining resilient, efficient, and effective. Mr. Speaker, with the implementation of this new Information Tax Administrative System, ITAS, we are laying the foundation in conjunction with the review of the existing tax structure to provide a more dynamic, transparent, and responsive inland revenue, one that is fully equipped to meet the needs of today and the challenges of tomorrow. Streamlining government processes. Mr. Speaker, we are aware of the concerns in the delay of income tax clearance and national insurance clearance letters. Every effort will be made to encourage these agencies to provide clearance letters in an efficient manner. After discussions with all parties, the government will support the revision of the opening hours so that there can be no disruption of services at customs and at other ports of entry. The government supports the customs paperless clearance process to be implemented shortly for both commercial and non-commercial cargo to enable quicker and more efficient service. Government endorses a trusted trader program that will allow selected low-risk commercial importers to expedite clearance of cargo. Road infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, these are a few of the roads that have been constructed during the year of infrastructure. Majumel Road in Labri, Bossejou Kaimaje Road, Soche Road, Larissus Vieux-Fort Highway, Larissus Denry Road, Fonsejac Road, Lapret Road Monrepo, Waterbox Road, Bagatelle Road, Bellevue, Fonsejac, Cedar Heights Road in Vieux-Fort. Mr. Speaker, this year, a number of new road projects will commence. They include Asuba Road in Babano, the village roads in Labri and Denry, St. Mary Road in Miko North, Grace Woodlands, Canel Vijay Kako. The minister will provide a more complete list. Mr. Speaker, in 2025, we built on the initiative started in 2024 with a view to complete 2 of our major infrastructure projects in health and security sectors, namely the St. Jude Hospital and the Northern Division Headquarters. And we expect that private sector investments, particularly in housing and tourism sectors, will proceed at a rapid pace. Mr. Speaker, this year, our agenda will focus on completing major road rehabilitation projects, enacting a new electricity supply bill, initiating new and ongoing investments in renewable energy. Mr. Speaker, we will also, through both agreements and public-private partnerships, expand the public sector investment program. As it relates to geothermal project in Soufrière, work will continue this year with a due to commencing drilling in 2026. Mr. Speaker, you must note that this is a long-term and transformational project, and we want to thank the World Bank for its continued support. This year, the Caribbean Efficient and Green Energy Buildings Program and the installation of solar-powered lighting at emergency centers and PV panels on other public buildings will strengthen our energy security and environmental sustainability. Lusilec is progressing the plans to develop a 10 megawatt PV plant with a battery energy storage at the Chumasi Miko. It is hoped that this project will commence in 2026. Mr. Speaker, we have not been satisfied with the progress of the Millennium Highway West Coast Road. However, after years of hardship and inconvenience, there seems to be some progress. Work on the Ansari Bridge is advancing, and we hope to see an end to this entire project by year-end. Shock Bridge. This year, construction of a 4-lane, pre-engineered and prefabricated modular made-by Atlas steel deck bridge supported by reinforced abutments will be constructed. Rehabilitation of the Julian R. Hunt Highway. The actions in 2016 by the former administration to terminate the financing from the Kuwait Fund for Arab Development for what was called the Castries-Grosley Highway not only allowed for the buildup of traffic congestion and attendant consequences of increased travel time and loss of productivity, but negatively impacted our funding partners of St. Lucia's risk profile. Mr. Speaker, after months of persuading our funders that the government of St. Lucia is responsible and committed to the project, we have been able to negotiate funding for part of the project. The project for the upgrade of the 7-kilometer route from Shock to Grosley will be divided into 3 sections. 1. Shock to Marisil, 1.4 kilometers. Marisil to Monjiro, 2.4 kilometers. And Monjiro to Grosley, 3.2 kilometers. Mr. Speaker, we have received approval in principle for a loan of $13 million from the Kuwaiti Fund for the section of the road from Monjiro to Grosley. We expect work to begin on this section by September this year. Mr. Speaker, we are currently engaged in the OPEC Fund for concessionary loan for the Shock to Marisil section. Mr. Speaker, this year, in preparation for work on the Julian R. Hunt Highway, the Nobel Viesike Road will be rehabilitated and widened to be used as a relief road during the construction period on the highway. Mr. Speaker, we will ensure that the design for the Julian R. Hunt Highway conforms with best practice and international standards, including fair compensation for impacted property owners who may be affected by any land acquisitions. Mr. Speaker, this year, the slope stabilization and retaining walls program will continue. A potholing truck is expected to arrive by June this year to assist in the maintenance of roads in St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, while we intend to install more traffic control devices, signs, signals, road designs, markings, barriers for our roads, we once again urge the motoring public to drive safely while employing all road safety measures. This year, we plan to revise and enact new legislation to allow for the enforcement of responsible driving. Hiwanora International Airport. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to the matter of the Hiwanora International Airport, the HIA. Allow me to remind members that the SLB administration between the years 2012 and 2016 pursued the redevelopment of HIA through a public-private partnership. Mr. Speaker, in the public-private partnership arrangement, the taxpayer would not incur any contingent liability. We worked with the International Financial Corporation, the IFC, an arm of the World Bank, to provide professional expertise for the planning and procurement process for HIA. In 2015, the PPP had reached the stage where it was ready to be executed. With a change of government in 2016, the PPP process was cancelled, costing the government millions of dollars, including a fine from the IFC. The then government pursued a debt finance model for the development of HIA. They did this by seeking out 3 loans for the passenger terminal complex. One, $100 million from the Export-Import Bank of the Republic of China, Taiwan. 2, $75 million from a consortium of local banks led by the Bank of St. Lucia. And 3, $45 million from the World Bank for CADCOP aimed at upgrading the runway and airside interventions. Mr. Speaker, in 2022, our government engaged in 2 reviews, one by a group of local professionals, and secondly, a review by international airport consultants. Some of the findings of the review are: 1. The contractor, Overseas Engineering Construction Company, OECC, was chosen by one man, the former Prime Minister. 2. There was no competitive tendering for the selection of the contractor. 3. The terms of the loan dictated that a specific contractor be engaged. 4. Apart from the normal interest charges on the loan, there was an additional 8% to be paid to the contractor on every disbursement, meaning that the true cost of the loan could be as much as 13% when you add it to the loan interest of 5%. Noticeably absent was a detailed bill of quantities for the terminal building, but rather a rough order of magnitude estimates. The project costs on the foundation package had increased by a factor of 10, from EC 4.8 million to EC 48 million. The original design called for 311 plus tiles, but 311 piles, but increased to 3,006 piles due to the change of location based on a decision by the former Prime Minister. Based on the review, the cost of the terminal building at this time would have been EC $1 billion had we followed their plan. There was never any recorded concerns about closing the airport operations at the airport to facilitate construction. Mr. Speaker, the government could not, in good conscience, allow this arrangement to proceed under these conditions. Mr. Speaker, the consultants provided SLASPA with 3 options. After discussion, the option chosen was a scale down of the terminal size built on part of the constructed foundation and a removal of the elevated roadway while keeping modern amenities like jet bridges, etc. After a competitive bidding process, Mr. Speaker, a quantity surveying firm was chosen to prepare the bill of quantities. The certified bill of quantities was received on 17 December 2024 and reviewed by SLASPA on 30th January 2025. The request for proposals through an open tender process will be advertised in the coming weeks. Mr. Speaker, it is regrettable that the process has taken some time. However, as a responsible government, we could not pursue what would arguably have been the largest infrastructure project ever undertaken in this country under these conditions. We are currently exploring all financial options, including a renegotiation of the present debt financing as well as a PPP model. Mr. Speaker, let me assure the public of St. Lucia that the Iwanoa Airport Terminal building will be constructed with full transparency, accountability, and in tune with the needs of the country. Meanwhile, Mr. Speaker, work on the control tower is continuing or will continue with a new contractor. Mr. Speaker, the upgrading of the runway to be compliant with world standards will continue under the World Bank project, which will be consistent with International Civil Aviation Organization ICAO standards. WASCO. Mr. Speaker, the government of St. Lucia is determined to take measures to solve the issues of the unreliable supply of water in some parts of the island. In collaboration with the World Bank, we have requested a technical visit to advise on water supply and wastewater management sector efficiency and water security. The group made several recommendations. 1. Expanding wastewater and sanitation services. 2. Improving efficiency of water services and augmenting WASCO's systems, resources, and capacity. 3. Water security. 4. Enabling environment for private capital mobilization. Mr. Speaker, on the matter of water security, you would recall that the former government undertook a desilting exercise of the John Compton Dam at a cost of $59 million. Mr. Speaker, let me quote from the World Bank report. The restoration of the John Compton Dam and reservoir to maximize its storage capacity is a priority. Capacity maximization and its long-term sustainability could include dredging works and wider watershed management. That is beyond the mandate and responsibility of WASCO to prevent siltation and maximize water quality. End of quote. Mr. Speaker, the World Bank's assessment clearly indicates that the $59 million desilting exercise by the former administration did not serve the intended purpose. Mr. Speaker, we have sought immediate support from the World Bank. The bank has already initiated technical assistance. Its dam specialists recently held a mission to St. Lucia to conduct an initial assessment of the dam and has requested a survey to further inform the bank's proposal for the dam's reservoir rehabilitation. These studies are currently underway and expected to be ready next month. Mr. Speaker, WASCO's challenges in the north as follows. 1. John Compton Dam. 2. Raw water line. 3. Tibble's treatment plant. And 4. The northern water line. Mr. Speaker, despite the spending of $59 million on desilting by the former administration, only 8% of the material was removed. Mr. Speaker, the raw water line that transmits water from the John Compton Dam to the Seabull's treatment plant at Cicero is over 40 years and heavily degraded. The Tibble's treatment plant needs significant rehabilitation and expansion. Mr. Speaker, the pipeline that takes water to the north of the island needs to be replaced. Mr. Speaker, we are determined to improve this situation to meet the existing and future demand for water for the people of St. Lucia. In the interim, the following actions have been taken. 1. We have secured a concessionary loan from the CDB for $61 million to replace the raw water line from John Compton Dam to the Seabull's treatment plant. 2. As stated earlier, Mr. Speaker, the World Bank will provide advice to the government on the way forward for the desilting of the John Compton Dam again. 3. The government is seeking resources for the replacement of the other parts of the Northern Pipeline. The government has provided WASCO with a monthly subvention in the interim to assist in the payment of its liabilities and other operational expenses. We will ask WASCO to work closely with the private sector companies to explore the possibilities of underground water opportunities in the north of the island. Mr. Speaker, as it relates to the south, the government is exploring a longer-term solution of expansion of the existing facilities. Mr. Speaker, to the citizens, hoteliers, and the business community, we understand the challenges of the inconsistent water supply. As a short to medium-term measure, while plans are afoot to secure a more permanent solution, the government will do all that it can, including incentivizing water harvesting and other forms of assistance to alleviate the problem at the earliest possible time. And we'll be holding discussions on these matters with the interested parties. Agriculture. Mr. Speaker, agriculture continues to be an important source of employment in our rural communities. This year, we will make some strategic interventions in our agricultural sector to reduce our food import bill and strengthen our food security. Our government remains committed to the CARICOM's goal of reducing our food import bill by 25% in the year 2025. Mr. Speaker, I am pleased to inform of a collaboration between Guyana and St. Lucia on an agricultural innovation and entrepreneurship program. Mr. Speaker, the goals of this program are: 1. Introduce cost-effective, climate-smart technology and innovation in agriculture. 2. Build the capacity of the youth in climate-smart technology. And 3. Create a sustainable avenue to engage and incentivize youth participants in agricultural entrepreneurship. Mr. Speaker, the program has commenced and 3 shade houses have arrived and are being constructed as union. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the Minister of Agriculture will provide more details on this innovative project and also on the assistance to be given to banana farmers and fisher folk. Tourism. Mr. Speaker, the St. Lucia Tourism Authority has developed a global strategic marketing plan that has taken into consideration the uncertainty of the global economy. The plan will leverage digital platforms, influencer collaborations, and targeted campaigns to showcase the island's beauty and culture while promoting sustainable tourism practices. Mr. Speaker, given the direct and indirect contribution of the tourism industry to the economy of St. Lucia, one of the goals of this government is to provide assistance to small and medium-sized enterprises to take advantage of the opportunities the industry presents. Mr. Speaker, the Community Tourism Agency, the CTA, has been identified as the vehicle for pursuing this goal. The CTA will continue to invest in local entrepreneurs to become partners in the industry and to support small and medium-sized enterprises offering tours, attractions, and cultural experience. Additionally, the agency will drive community initiatives, collaborating with the Ministry of Tourism and other local organizations to develop signature projects and ensure that these projects provide an authentic and immersive local experience. In 2024-25, the CTA granted a total of 17 loans to drive authentic and the immersive local experience. Mr. Speaker, this year, the agency has identified over 10 community projects for 2025-2026. These projects will be financed for the UBEC project, the World Bank, the CARICOM Development Fund, and the Citizenship by Investment Program. Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to inform you that financing for these projects have been confirmed, and in some cases, designs and costings have been finalized in and in others, implementation has started. Additionally, the CTA will be working on 40 partner projects for 2025-2026. Mr. Speaker, we are conscious of the necessity of developing recreational beaches space to enhance the enjoyment of our beaches for citizens and visitors. Last year, I announced the provision of a facility at Railway Beach, and I'm pleased to report that the tendering process has been completed. We will soon witness the commencement of work at the Montpellier Beach Park and the upgrade of the Buckeye Sports Recreational Beach Park. Plans will be announced for Ansery, Soufrière, and Beaufort. Mr. Speaker, the Tourism Development Act, the Tourism Development Act and Community Development Act and Community Tourism Act have been enacted, and while we see growth in demand for St. Lucia, we must ensure that the neighboring environment is provided for an inclusive, resilient, and sustainable industry. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Tourism has finalized the terms of reference to guide the procurement of consulting services for the formulation of a revised, flexible national tourism policy that aligns with contemporary tourism principles. Mr. Speaker, this year we'll focus on strengthening regulatory oversight, service quality, and enforcement mechanisms within the sector. Mr. Speaker, St. Lucia continues to see increased interest in investment opportunities, especially in the hospitality sector. In 2024, the Ministry of Tourism approved 26 projects in various sectors of the industry. Projects in the accommodation sector accounted for 78% of total investment, valued at over $1 billion. Mr. Speaker, last year, I mentioned a number of investment projects which were slated to commence. Some have been delayed due to the approval process. However, every effort will be made so that they can reach the commencement phase. Mr. Speaker, the Global Ports Holding Project has been the victim of lies, misinformation, and even threats. In fact, one former UWP government minister at a public gathering in Soufrière on Sunday, April 6, 2025, threatened, and I quote, "I am putting GPH on notice. When we get into government, we are scrapping the deal." This is the irresponsible message to investors, Mr. Speaker, from the leadership of the opposition. Mr. Speaker, the GPH project has started both in Soufrière and Castries. Mr. Speaker, in terms of other developments, KM2 Solutions, a leading business process outsourcing BPO company, is expanding its operations in St. Lucia with a major investment in the Orange Grove building. As part of this expansion, the company plans to create 500 new jobs initially, with further growth expected to generate an additional 500 jobs. Mr. Speaker, Invest St. Lucia is working with an operator to establish a BPO operation in Otago in the Ansery community. This initiative aims to provide opportunities for residents and contribute to the gradual development of the business ecosystem on the west coast of St. Lucia. Once DC approval is given, construction of the facility will commence. Mr. Speaker, these investments have the potential for hundreds of jobs, especially for the young people of St. Lucia. Mr. Speaker, this year, the policy initiatives for the Ministry of Commerce will flow from the mandate and mission of the ministry with respect to private sector development. This includes strengthening the MSME product and sector development, improving the business environment, and bilateral agreements with regional trade partners. The Ministry of Commerce intends to promote the principle of sustainability and adopt best practices to achieve global certification. Mr. Speaker, building a productive relationship with the private sector has been an important pillar of our economic policy. We have provided an enabling environment for the private sector to expand and innovate to be profitable while creating job opportunities. In this regard, nurturing the energy and innovation of the youth has been very important. Investment in the youth economy, optronics, and the semi-professional football and cricket leagues have demonstrated the government's ability of youth entrepreneurship and life-changing opportunities. Mr. Speaker, the government's philosophical position is that we must create opportunities for wealth enhancement and the creation of generational wealth so that each generation could be better off than the previous one. The enactment of the Security Interest in Movable Property Act, which allows the use of non-traditional collateral, is another step in revolutionizing the business environment in St. Lucia. The enactment of the Insolvency Act will give opportunities for a second chance, while the Credit Reporting Act should encourage discipline and prudence in financial matters. Mr. Speaker, still on creating the new business environment, we invested $500,000 in the newly launched Optronics Innovation Hub to establish an innovation hub to provide a working place to nurture innovative, technologically driven businesses for young entrepreneurs. It is envisaged that this innovation hub will turn ideas into investment-ready startups and hopefully attract financing to transform startups into thriving business enterprises. Mr. Speaker, the U.S. government announced its intention to impose increased tariffs for all countries worldwide. In response, the Cabinet of Ministers established a task force under the chairmanship of the Minister of Commerce to monitor and evaluate the effects on St. Lucia. Meanwhile, the situation will be monitored and the government will take all possible action to avert any hardship that may affect local businesses. Fulfilling our mandate to create a thriving MSME sector, the government, in collaboration with the Caribbean Development Bank, launched the MSME Loan Grant Facility in 2022 with an initial budget of $10 million EC. As of February 2025, 450 medium-sized MSMEs have been approved, totaling $6.9 million. This funding has been used for essential business improvement, including the procurement of equipment and machinery, upgrading packages, obtaining training and certification, and retrofitting facilities. The aim is to locally produce goods and services that are globally acceptable. Mr. Speaker, in a move to decentralize its services and expand its service delivery, the ministry late last year opened a sovereign office in Beaufort to serve the people in the south of this country. National Competitive Authority. Mr. Speaker, the government will introduce an amendment to the Distribution of Price of Goods Act to strengthen enforcement of regulations and safeguard consumer interests on the domestic market. In addition, a competitive and policy implementation unit will be established as the National Competitive Authority to promote fair market competition in compliance with St. Lucia's trade agreement obligations under the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas. the RSA. The Regulatory Substance Authority RSA Act was enacted in November 2023 to create the RSA as a regulator for the use of substances such as cannabis, alcohol, explosives, pesticides, toxic chemicals, petroleum, and radioactive material. Its core mandate is to ensure the safety of the population and the environment as it relates to the use and trade of regulated substances, while providing certainty and safe access to stakeholders interested in being part of the regulated industries. The Cannabis and Industrial Hemp Bill has been drafted and published for public comment. The Minister will explain. The ministry continues to import essential goods and sells them at subsidized prices, and will hold discussions in the private sector to take measures to reduce the high cost of imported goods into this country. Mr. Speaker, the Citizens by Investment Program, CIP, is a very important part of St. Lucia's economic landscape. This program is a major source of non-tax revenue for the government of St. Lucia, as it is for other governments within the OECS. The policy of this government is to ensure that the program operates within an environment that is transparent, accountable, and responsible. Mr. Speaker, this sustainability can only be realized by engaging the highest standards of due diligence during the screening of CIP applicants and collaborating with key, credible stakeholders whose support is critical to the survival of the program. Mr. Speaker, it is important to note that in addition to the CIP unit conducting its own due diligence processes for reputable service providers, including Impacts, the Bank of St. Lucia provides added protection to the program by conducting its own due diligence process to ensure that applicants and the funds sent to the CIP unit are bona fide and clean. Mr. Speaker, it is sad and disappointing that while this government seeks to enhance the credibility of the program, there are badly motivated individuals in the opposition who remain committed to destroying it by making outlandish and damaging statements about its operations. The level of their motivation has risen to consorting with foreign elements hell-bent on destroying the image and reputation of our country. St. Lucia's CIP continues to grow whilst we seek to find continuous improvements in our processes and has been rated highly in the global CIP space. Contrary to bogus figures bandied about by the opposition, the 2023 audited annual report for the CIP unit indicates 1,171 applicants were approved for citizenship. For the year 2021 to 2022, 433. 2022 to 2023, 544. During this period, 92 applicants were denied. Mr. Speaker, to protect the program from misinformation and to ensure its sustainability, I have agreed with the Prime Ministers of Antigua and Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis, Dominica and Grenada that a common approach should be adopted for the regulation of CIP in the 5 countries and have signed the MOA giving effect to the agreement. To this end, an interim regulatory commission has been established for drafting enabling legislation that will allow for the creation of a regulator who will be responsible for monitoring and enforcing compliance with mandatory standards of all 5 CIP jurisdictions. Mr. Speaker, the IRC has already appointed a legal consultant for the drafting of relevant legislation. The consultant has completed consultations with various CIP units and key stakeholders in the 5 territories with a view to identifying gaps and areas for for operation improvement in the various programs. The draft legislation is expected to be available next month for review and comment before its enactment by December this year by the 5 participating countries. Mr. Speaker, I am confident that the creation of a regulator enabled by relevant legislation will allow for the enforcement of international standards and best practices and will enhance the program and minimize the risk of compromising the integrity of our program. Sovereign Wealth Fund. Mr. Speaker, in our 2021 elections manifesto, Putting You First, we promised to establish a sovereign wealth fund for the long-term benefit of St. Lucians. Mr. Speaker, the sovereign wealth fund is to secure intergenerational wealth, address St. Lucia's pledged climate adaptation and mitigation efforts, and for sustainable development. Mr. Speaker, in 2016, St. Lucia ratified the Paris Agreement and committed that it would do its part to reduce global temperature increases. St. Lucia's nationally declared contributions indicate that it has committed to reduce its greenhouse gases. It is estimated that the cost of our climate adaptation and mitigation is US $368 million. These costs stem from our inability to withstand the effect of hurricanes, storm surges, drought, and other climate events. Mr. Speaker, the Solid Wealth Fund objectives will be to support investment in climate adaptation mitigation in addition to sustainable development. The Sovereign Wealth Fund is a public fund and will be managed by a board which is a body corporate, a 9-member staggered board to operate and oversee the Sovereign Wealth Fund. The board is staggered to ensure institutional knowledge is not lost and its management is stable. The members of the board must be persons who demonstrated competencies in accounting, management, law, and economics with a minimum of 10-year experience. Mr. Speaker, the Sovereign Wealth Fund is a demonstration of our country's confidence and its desire to create savings for future use, whether it be for climate mitigation or sustainable development. It's a demonstration of our country's desire to exercise fiscal discipline and reduce dependency on outside sources, even if we are a small state with relatively limited resources. In this regard, Mr. Speaker, this year we pledged $5 million from the proceeds of the CIP as the first installment into the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Mr. Speaker, the fund will set an example for St. Lucia to develop a culture of savings and investment and the creation of generational wealth. Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet has approved St. Lucia's membership to the Development Bank of Latin America, CAF. CAF stands as a trusted, homegrown, multilateral institution dedicated to empowering Caribbean small developing states, SIDS, through tailored financial solutions, technical expertise, and agile project implementation. Other institutions, CAF does not impose income-based conditionalities, ensuring St. Lucia, regardless of economic classification, can access funding proportionate to our contributions. Citizen security. Since our assumption into office in 2021, the government has not wavered in its determination to make St. Lucia a safer place for all. St. Lucia, like other Caribbean countries, is combating a surge in violent crimes, particularly gun-related crime, caused by a number of factors: gangs, lack of conflict resolution skills, dysfunctional families, and economic circumstances. The solution to the crime problem, particularly gun-related crime, is complex and is illustrated by the increase in murders and homicides, particularly amongst young men with guns as their choice of weapon. We do not manufacture guns in the region. The government will continue to work with international agencies and countries like France and America to help combat the influx of guns into St. Lucia. Collaboration with these countries in gathering intelligence and information is one of our core policies and will be intensified this year. Mr. Speaker, I have insisted that the operational function of crime fighting is that of the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. I repeat, Mr. Speaker, I have insisted that the operational function of crime fighting is that of the St. Lucia Police. This year, a new commissioner of police was appointed with the mandate to do the following. 1. Reduce gang and gun-related murders. 2. Reduce crime against persons. And 3. Promote cohesion amongst the ranks of the Royal St. Lucia Police. The Commissioner of Police has been allowed full freedom to perform these duties and to report to the Minister for National Security. The government's job is to provide resources and an enabling environment for the police to perform their duties. In this regard, we have continued to increase the financial allocation, increase manpower and training. Last year, 75 new police were trained and enlisted, along with 62 new police constables. 80 new recruits will commence training in June and end in November. Mr. Speaker, that means that by December 2025, we would have increased the manpower of the police force by 221 persons. The government has also commenced the Tourism Rangers program, with 58 of them having taken the oath. This is to ensure that our beaches and other places of recreation remains safe. Mr. Speaker, while we are seeing incremental progress in crime reduction, we cannot be satisfied until we are murder-free. We note the establishment of the gang, narcotics, and firearm unit with a mandate to rid our streets of guns, drugs, and violence. I look forward to significant progress in this area. Mr. Speaker, crime is not only a problem for law enforcement, but also for our healthcare services. Hundreds of thousands of dollars are spent yearly to treat violence-related injuries, thus placing a significant burden on the health system. There is also pressure on our criminal justice system, so the government has intervened. Though the government has been informed by the judiciary that the swift justice initiatives are currently bearing fruit. Halls of Justice. Mr. Speaker, there is an acute shortage of appropriate space to house court hearings. This is why the government is pursuing the Halls of Justice project. Mr. Speaker, allow me to give you a little history on this project and to clarify the misinformation being propagated by opposition forces. Mr. Speaker, for more than a decade, there have been discussions in St. Lucia about a Halls of Justice. Several locations had been identified but found to be unsatisfactory, either by the judiciary or for other logistical reasons. The last government in 2020 decided, despite protestations from the judiciary, that the location that housed the police headquarters, prisons, and immigration would be a site for the Halls of Justice. However, the judiciary was steadfast in its claim that the site was not suitable due to its proximity to the police apparatus and that the doctrine of separation of powers would have been compromised. The last government insisted on preparing renderings at a cost of over $1 million and proceeded to demolish the prisons without DC approval and honest consultation with the St. Lucia National Trust. In 2022, the clarion call for House of Justice became louder than ever. A planning committee was formed comprising the Department of Planning, the Department of Economic Development, and Judiciary. After deliberations over a few months, it was agreed that the condemned courthouse on Pioneer Street would be demolished and the House of Justice would be constructed using that site as well as the former consultation from the St. Lucia National Trust. Mr. Speaker, the Catholic Church indicated that there were two grave concerns. One, the size of the building would have dwarfed the iconic cathedral, and two, the structural integrity of the cathedral may be compromised. We were assured by experts that both of these concerns could have been adequately handled. However, for the avoidance of conflict with the Catholic Church, the Cabinet decided to construct the House of Justice on the adjacent lot which once housed the Gaiety Cinema and the abandoned Ministry of Education building. Again, Mr. Speaker, consultations were held with all parties and approvals were granted. Mr. Speaker, the government has entered into a sale agreement with the owners of the property known as the former Gaiety Cinema site for EC 14.5 million. And as we speak, the area has been cleared, the new design is ready for construction, and planning approval has been granted. The new design will have 15 courtrooms, chambers for 9 judges and 9 magistrates, offices for court masters and the coroner's court. There is a lawyer's lounge, a robing room, and space for the Bar Association Secretariat, along with a law library. Mr. Speaker, the arrangement for the construction is a bold agreement between the government and SEMIS Limited with a maintenance clause for the upkeep of the building. NIPO is expected to provide project construction oversight. In other words, Mr. Speaker, the government will own the building after 12 years and avoid paying rent in perpetuity. When completed, the structure will span the site of the former education building and the Gaiety Cinema site. Both structures will be connected by elevated walkways over Westall Street. Mr. Speaker, we have strengthened the judiciary with the necessary amendments to laws to punish guilty criminals. This year, new laws pertaining to witness testimonies and witness protection will be enacted. The Minister of Equity and Minister of Crime Prevention will outline several interventions and approaches that we have used to combat crime. However, Mr. Speaker, while we as a government will play our role in helping improve the security of citizens, the society as a whole must promote, by example, values of truth, hard work, discipline, love, and community as a basis for safety and security. We cannot ask young people to speak the truth when some leaders deliberately make inflammatory statements and spread disinformation for political mileage. We once more call on the support of the whole of society, churches, private and civil society organizations to work collectively and collaboratively to combat the scourge of crime. Mr. Speaker, Invest St. Lucia will undertake the construction of a 7-story commercial building for many of the agencies on the brand St. Lucia label in Point Serving Castries this year. Cyber training for youth. Mr. Speaker, this government is constantly searching for new avenues of employment and job creation for our youth. The World Bank reported in 2025 that cybersecurity offers an opportunity for investments and economic growth in this digital era as nations confront a rising wave of cyber threats. With 63% of the population online, cybersecurity incidents have become a rising threat in public administration and finance in the Caribbean. Mr. Speaker, there is a high and growing demand for persons with cybersecurity skills. We intend to provide Cyber Nation cybersecurity analyst training over 6 months to a cohort of 125 young persons in the first instance, and to continue building a cadre of skilled cybersecurity professionals in St. Lucia. This program will offer participants a comprehensive education and practical skills in the cybersecurity field, while recognized certification for successful careers in the high-demand industry. Mr. Speaker, the benefits of the training will result in a further reduction in youth unemployment and an improvement in the cyber risk profile of St. Lucia. Further details will be provided when the program is being offered for the Ministry of Education in conjunction with the Youth Economy Agency. Mr. Speaker, the Constituency Development Fund, financed from a grant from the Republic of China, Taiwan, will continue to provide finance for small infrastructural works in communities and in villages throughout the island. The CDB Fund The Constituency Development Fund can also be used as a source for social and educational facilitation by elected parliamentary representatives. This government has mandated that all parliamentary representatives be provided with resources from this fund to support their constituency. Mr. Speaker, there is one project that has caught the interest of St. Lucians, particularly in the South, is the St. Jude Reconstruction Project. Mr. Speaker, I will now inform honorable members of the misinformation and downright lies of the opposition as far as this project is concerned. The fact is, the box was never near completion as a hospital and could never function as one without the use of existing buildings. Just before the 2021 general elections, the former United Workers' Party government, in its quest to convince the public that the years without construction on the St. Jude Hospital was justified, hastily destroyed 2 buildings, costing $7 million, and flash images of an empty shell decorated with cladding. This ruse, costing over $100 million to taxpayers, was intended to convince the public that it was a hospital nearing completion within 6 months. Mr. Speaker, what was inside was an empty, leaking structure with no functioning mechanical, electrical, or plumbing works, no equipment, no sanitation facilities, no kitchen, and unfinished floors. In fact, Mr. Speaker, there was no indication of what this box was intended for, far less a hospital. Presently, Mr. Speaker, the work in progress at St. Jude Hospital reconstruction is at a including H and plumbing systems, including portions of the electrical and water supply systems, are already functional and currently undergoing testing and commissioning to validate performance and compliance. External infrastructure works are progressing steadily. Sub-base preparation for access roads and parking areas is underway. Drainage infrastructure, including culverts and stormwater systems, has been partially installed. Perimeter works and site grading continue, supporting the final site layout, and utility routing is near completion. The project is being implemented on the segmented contract packages supported by a full-time supervision consultant. Technical teams conduct weekly inspections, quality control verifications, and milestone reviews to ensure alignment with approved engineering standards and schedules. The St. Jude Hospital has been developed to meet international healthcare infrastructure standards with an emphasis on durability, energy, efficiency, and climate resilience across all buildings. Preparation for transition from the functioning St. Jude Hospital at the stadium to the new facility is on the way. Finance for the transition team has been provided in the estimates and the commissioning has commenced. This time, Mr. Speaker, there has been consultation with all stakeholders of the facility. To ensure the adoption of global standards for operating the new facility, we have engaged Accreditation Canada. Mr. Speaker, the local contractor has assured me that work at the hospital will be completed this year. The rehabilitation of the George Odlum Stadium is linked to the completion of the St. Jude Hospital Rehabilitation Project for two reasons. Firstly, the stadium has been home of the St. Jude Hospital since the devastating fire in 2009 and must be vacated. Secondly, the funding process can only commence following the construction of the St. Jude Hospital. The aim is to develop a phased rehabilitation plan that ensures alignment with modern sporting infrastructure standards while integrating sustainability features such as renewable energy solutions and improved accessibility. New police headquarters. This year, the government of St. Lucia proposes designing and constructing a new police headquarters complex within the Central Division in Cassues. This initiative will provide a centralized, purpose-built facility to meet current and projected policing needs, improve service delivery, enhance security, and reduce long-term operational costs. A steering committee has been established to oversee the project's design and supervision elements. Mr. Speaker, a detailed design brief is being developed by the Ministry of Physical Development, working with the police, the Ministry of Economic Development, and other users. Construction of new fire service headquarters. A steering committee has been established to oversee the project design and development of a new St. Lucia Fire Service building. Preliminary consideration is being given to two sites. This investment will complement the Caribbean Development Bank's efforts to enhance the resilience of the St. Lucia Fire Service Initiative and will further recognize the emergency services and a cornerstone of our island's development. Additionally, work is continuing on the West Coast Fire Substation, which will provide emergency services for the people of Ansari and the environs. The Soufre Administrative Building. The government of St. Lucia is currently involved in discussions with NIPRO for the construction of a Soufre Administrative Building to be located on the site of the Soufre Town Hall. An inception report has been completed after extensive consultation with end users. Final architectural, structural, electrical, and mechanical drawings are scheduled for completion early next month, followed by the finalization of bills of quantities and tender documents in June. Approvals for demolition of the existing structure are currently being secured, with works expected to commence shortly. The preliminary construction cost is estimated at EC $25.8 million, inclusive of contingency and taxes. The project will be financed through a both arrangement with NIPRO. Construction is expected to commence in the third quarter of this year. The Viewfort Administrative Building. Construction of the Viewport Administration building will commence this year after being halted by the former administration. The proposed facility will house retail space and a theater serving the people of Viewport and the South. Preliminary work is being done by NIPRO and architectural drawings are being finalized in consultation with the parliamentary representative. Once all approvals have been secured, construction will commence this year. Human Resource Development Centers in Castries North and Castries East. The construction of the Castries North and Castries East Human Resource Development Centers has been delayed due to difficulties in finding an appropriate site. The two sites identified are proved inadequate. An area near the Boca Secondary School has been identified. Surveys have been completed. The necessary geotechnical and topographical studies are being conducted. Climate financing and resilience programs. In 2024, Cabinet approved the St. Lucia Green Climate Fund, GCF, country program with technical assistance from the GCF. The country's program reflects current and developmental priorities, aligning project concepts with National Adaptation Plan, National Determined Contributions, and the broader National Development Agenda. This has positioned St. Lucia to identify and better prioritize and prepare bankable climate resilient investment. The Ministry of Economic Development is currently involved in an initiative called the Green Affordable Housing Project. This project seeks to reduce vulnerability to climate change by providing low-carbon, climate-resilient homes. The initiative integrates energy efficiency, water conservation, and climate-smart design into affordable housing solutions. The program aims to demonstrate to the people of St. Lucia how an integrated climate-smart housing solution can be developed to build resilience, support green jobs, and improve living conditions for the population at risk of climate change. Mr. Speaker, a climate finance unit was also approved by the Cabinet to coordinate climate finance facilities efforts and to engage with partners and implement national climate investment plans. The unit will be best positioned in St. Lucia to mobilize and coordinate technical and financial support from a range of bilateral and multilateral partners. Mr. Speaker, we are awaiting the result of the funding proposal officially submitted to the GCF board for strengthening of the fishing sector in St. Lucia. If successful, the project will enhance food security to support climate-smart fisheries management and protect livelihoods, particularly for small-scale fishers, women, and youth engaged in the fisheries industry. This year, Mr. Speaker, government will continue to search for different types of climate financing for our climate resilience program. Disaster risk management. Mr. Speaker, the government has initiated a sovereign wealth fund with a view to financing St. Lucia's climate resilience, adaptation, and mitigation policies and its sustainable development. However, Mr. Speaker, this is to address future climatic risk mitigation and adaptation measures for the sustainable development of the country. Mr. Speaker, within the context of the risk and threat of climate events, the Cabinet has approved a proposal to secure US $20 million concessional finance facility from the National Development Association, IDA, through the World Bank. The facility, known as the Disaster Risk Management Development Policy Credit with a catastrophe-defined drawdown called CAT-DDO. Mr. Speaker, this CAT-DDO is a strategic investment designed to provide immediate access to emergency funding in the aftermath of a natural disaster or non-natural public emergency. In other words, Mr. Speaker, if and when a disaster strikes, the people of St. Lucia will have up to US $20 million to begin recovery efforts. This is further evidence, Mr. Speaker, of a government with a realistic vision for building the country's resilience in times of disaster. Mr. Speaker, in 2024, the government of St. Lucia focused on expanding education opportunities from early childhood to post-secondary, while undertaking upgrades in school infrastructure. Key achievements in education, Mr. Speaker, was improved access and efficiency at all levels of the school system. We improved the quality of teaching and learning by ensuring that every secondary school child has been furnished with a laptop computer through the One Laptop Per Child program. In addition, the Department of Education over the last 4 years has been developing digital content in 10 subject areas by local curriculum specialist teachers. Mr. Speaker, this year, the government will continue progress as outlined in the educational sector plan to expand access to early childhood education and development. This year, we will increase the subvention to non-government preschools to EC $3,000. We'll also provide a subsidy of $100 a term to assist in the payment of tuition fees for children at early learning centers. Mr. Speaker, we have achieved universal primary and secondary education. Our goal is to provide universal early childhood education as we continue on our path to 1 university graduate per household. Mr. Speaker, government-owned early childhood development centers will continue to be upgraded. We'll ensure that all early childhood development centers teachers receive continuous training to assist with the needs of our children. In furtherance of the policy of upgrading school structure, we will complete upgrades at Anchipo, Plainview and Pierre and Grand River Secondary Schools. The John Odlum Secondary School now serves as an Institute of Art, Media and Design to prepare the next generation of artists and designers who can contribute to St. Lucia's culture and creative economy. The Grand River Secondary School is currently an institute for sustainable agriculture, culinary arts and entrepreneurial services to train students for the agriculture sector with skills that support food security and support St. Lucia's culinary heritage. The Asia Secondary School serves as an institute of engineering and technology to prepare students for careers in the rapidly growing technological industry. The Pierre Secondary School is an institute of construction heritage to preserve St. Lucia's architectural heritage whilst preparing students with construction skills that are of high demand. In the 2025-26 budget, while we continue the expansion of educational opportunities, greater emphasis will be given to technical and vocational educational training, TVET, the use of information and communication technology in schools, and the 1 university graduate per household program. This emphasis is to ensure that more students are sufficiently prepared for the job market and able to assist businesses in their drive to improve productivity through the use of technology. Mr. Speaker, an education sector plan has been discussed and is expected to be endorsed by Cabinet early this year. This plan lays out 6 priority areas. 1. Expansion of access at all levels. Early childhood education and development, special education, post-secondary skills for lifelong learning, and tertiary education programs. 2. Democratization of education and training, promoting gender equity and increased accessibility and affordability for all learners. 3. Improve student achievement and teacher effectiveness at all levels, effective curriculum delivery, enhancement of STEM, STEAM, and TVET. 4. to build workforce capacity, to meet local and global demands, to transform curriculum to support innovation, entrepreneurship, youth economic empowerment, and seamless transition of students into the world of work. 5, to develop leadership, management, governance, and to create an agile and responsive education system. 6, to foster social development and positive behavior, civic responsibility, citizenship, social skills, social justice, values, and conflict resolution. In this year's budget, $12.6 million has been allocated for further improvement in the physical structure of schools to provide a secure, well-equipped learning environment for our students and teachers. The overarching goal of this government is for our education system to produce a well-rounded, socially responsible citizen ready to make meaningful contributions locally and regionally. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and Elderly Affairs will employ a medium to long-term health sector strategy which will focus on the following areas. 1, advancing universal health coverage and health financing. 2, strengthening healthcare infrastructure and service delivery. 3, elderly affairs. 4, strengthening response to the impacts of climate change and disaster preparedness. 4, development of policy interventions leading to healthy aging of the population. Universal health coverage, UHC. Last year, the provision of additional services in support of maternal and child health care continued. There was a 46% increase in the number of women accessing services at wellness centers. Individuals have been able to conduct routine laboratory tests and ultrasounds for free at the wellness centers. More than 5,000 women have accessed these services. In August 2024, the UHC unit launched cervical cancer screening and HPV testing using liquid-based cytology. 2,179 women were screened for cervical cancer over the period August 24 to January 2025. In December 2024, prostate cancer screening was included in the relaunch of the men's clinic. To date, 215 men have been screened. Snakebite prevention and treatment was launched in February 25. This year, the UHC unit intends to incorporate breast cancer screening along with the expansion of hypertension and diabetics screening and treatment. Mr. Speaker, the government continues to demonstrate its commitment to UHC by providing solutions with tangible services in the areas outlined. Mr. Speaker, we take the health of the people of St. Lucia seriously. Unlike the former administration, we do not speak about an elusive health insurance that has shown absolutely no results, either on paper or otherwise. This year, the government of St. Lucia will introduce legislation that will bring universal health coverage into existence as a separate entity to finance and administer the UHC program. Mr. Speaker, in strengthening the healthcare services, the government will be enhancing and improving existing facilities and building new ones. Work will continue preparing our wellness centers for advanced climate events. Several wellness centers will be renovated to become climate smart. The former Victoria Hospital, now the Sir Winston C. Paris Medical Complex, houses the Betty Wells Urban Polyclinic. the Cuban Eye Care Clinic and Urgent Care Services. Expansion of the Dr. Martin Didier Polyclinic at Grosile is ongoing, which will lead to the polyclinic becoming a 24-hour facility. Mr. Speaker, while we await the completion and commissioning of the new St. Jude Hospital, we continue to enhance healthcare infrastructure at the stadium. 9 departments have been upgraded, which include radiology, dental, medical, operation rooms, surgical ward, surgical unit, and recovery unit. Mr. Speaker, these upgrades are ongoing and will be completed this year. Mr. Speaker, I announced earlier that work on the 5th finger of the OKE hospital will commence this year. Meanwhile, upgrades will take place in several areas of the hospital, including the hospital's sewage treatment plant, medical gas lines, indoor quality installation of a new 2 generator, and the acquisition of new diagnostics equipment. Mr. Speaker, I am sure the Minister of Health will give further details of the interventions that we have made and will continue to make in the health sector. Mr. Speaker, a comprehensive and inclusive policy on elderly affairs is now in the public domain and will be implemented this year. The Ministry has strengthened the institutional framework for the elderly unit. A director and program officer have been recruited to advance the ministry's agenda for elderly care for citizens. Mr. Speaker, this year, for the first time, the St. Lucia Pensioners Association will be given a subvention for administrative use. Mr. Speaker, the world joins St. Lucia in celebrating the historical success of our Julian Alfred in a victory at the 100-meter race at the Olympic Games in France in August 24. And St. Lucia also achieved. St. Lucia saw in the making another athlete, J.D. Emmanuel, in the 100-meter sprint at the Carifta Games. That 10.2 streak of brilliance brought glory and joy to the entire nation. The St. Lucian flag was raised for the first time at the Olympic Games, undertaking a historic achievement for our national treasure. Our joy was no less when Julian won silver in the 200 meters. Julian's accomplishment is more than a feat of athletic brilliance. It's a lesson for all young people that regardless of where you are from or who your parents are, you can achieve greatness through hard work, discipline, perseverance, and being true to yourself. I call on all St. Lucian youth to let Julian Alfred be an inspiration to themselves, to remain focused, and to be true to themselves. Mr. Speaker, last year, St. Lucia was one of the venues for the ICC Men's T20 Cricket World Cup. To host a global event, the Darren Sammy Cricket Grounds had to be renovated to meet international standards. The government guaranteed a loan for national lotteries for $80 million to finance major renovations to the facility and surroundings. Mr. Speaker, the loan also provided funds for major infrastructural works and lighting for 12 additional playing fields, including the Mindu Phillip Park and the Grosile Mini Stadium. Mr. Speaker, St. Lucia hosted the T20 Caribbean Premier League. Our own Darren Sammy was the coach of the victorious St. Lucia Kings. The hosting of these events has had a major economic impact which was felt in the accommodation, travel, retail, and food and beverage sectors. Mr. Speaker, 2024 was a successful year for St. Lucia in sports. The Minister, I'm sure, will outline our record-breaking success. However, permit me to mention that the first ever professional football league has generated great interest around the country and provided employment for scores of young men all over the island. This year, the semi-professional cricket league competition is taking place at several venues, including the newly renovated and lit Mindufida Park. Mr. Speaker, this government continues to function in the tradition of Labour Party's administrations of the past, supporting youth development, empowerment, and job creation. Youth Economy Agency. Mr. Speaker, in an address to the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, on the 30th November 2021, I stated, our government understands the crippling long-term effect of unemployment of unengaged youth. We made a solemn promise to the youth of St. Lucia in our 2021 manifesto to alleviate the employment situation. And now, in the seat of government, we are implementing the life-changing Youth Economy Initiative. Our Youth Economy Initiative will transform hobbies into skills, skills into business, and ideas into enterprises. It will provide training, finance, marketing, and mentorship for our young people with a strategic set of interventions. That was on the 30th of November 2021. To date, Mr. Speaker, the following achievements have been realized. Over 4,221 youth have expressed interest in the youth economy of St. Lucia via requests for financing, both loans and grants. Over 1,105 youth have received grants and loan financing from the year, totaling EC $6.5 million. 928 youth have received training in various disciplines. 81 youth received mentorship support. Mr. Speaker, the grant distribution was island-wide, with every constituency benefiting. After Castries and Grosile, Vieux-Fort was the highest beneficiary for year grants. Mr. Speaker, 55% of the recipients of the year grants were female and 45% male. Mr. Speaker, 3 years after the launching of the year, today in St. Lucia, we do not just speak of youth as the future. We build that future with them. This initiative is not merely an economic program. It's a declaration of belief. It is the state, the society, and the soul of a people choosing to say our young people matter. Their ideas matter. Their lives have value. Their dreams are worth the investment. The youth economy transforms hobbies into entrepreneurship and skills into business. It can take the DJ from Marchand on a tour of Ibiza. It can take the young girl from Cicero to be an Olympic gold medalist in 100 meters. It can take the tech-savvy young man in Duga to the Silicon Valley. It can take the sportsman from Bruceville to the English Premier League. Mr. Speaker, it says to young people that they can dream big. It redefines what it means to be successful. It says that fulfillment is not only reserved for the privileged, that enterprise does not only belong to the elite, and that ambition is not something to be feared, but something to be nurtured. And yet, Mr. Speaker, beyond the grants and the training, beyond the mentorship and the marketing plans, the youth economy does something even greater. It reorders our philosophy of nation building. Where once we said, let's create jobs for young people, we now say, yet let young people create their own jobs. Mr. Speaker, the youth economy empowers young people. It's not a handout, it's a hand extended in partnership, in belief, in shared destiny. And as these young entrepreneurs rise in sports, in agriculture, in fashion, innovation, and beyond, we rise with them. Through their brave and courageous ventures, we will discover our own courage. And with the successes, we will see the real soul of St. Lucia, loving, ready, brave, and resilient. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Equity, Social Justice and Empowerment aims to achieve economic, social, and cultural advancement for individuals, particularly the less fortunate. This year, the ministry allocation was increased by $4.5 million to EC $24.5 million. This year, the main focus will be community initiatives, including community after-school programs that provide supervision during after-school hours to protect our young people from becoming targets of exploitation during unsupervised times. We'll also be supporting social groups and faith-based organizations, FBOs. Their role in society are vital and include social development, poverty reduction, and community resilience. This year, we'll be embarking on the conversion of the former George Charles Secondary School to a juvenile center for the care of underprivileged youth. Mr. Speaker, as it relates to social protection initiatives, the ministry is facilitating fostering care and adoption practices that comply with the standards of the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the CRC. Mr. Speaker, hundreds of economically deprived people, particularly the elderly, have been provided with monthly public assistance. We also provide support for youth in need of protection and support for those in conflict with the law. Mr. Speaker, the home care program for older persons introduced by this government in 2012 will be expanded to provide service on weekends. Mr. Speaker, psychosocial care for counseling for individuals experiencing emotional issues will continue to be part of the ministry's mandate. This year, Mr. Speaker, the St. Lucia Social Development Fund under the Ministry of Equity will continue its interventions to assist the most vulnerable citizens in our midst. The SSDF will also be involved in small infrastructural projects in constituencies and communities. One aspect of the SSDF's work that will be given prominence and expanded this year will be a program to rehabilitate young men in conflict with the law and prepare incarcerated persons for reintegration into the society. Mr. Speaker, the SSDF is the administrator for the Basic Needs Trust Fund, financed by the CDB Special Development Fund, with counterpart financing from the government of St. Lucia. 15 Basic Needs Trust Fund projects in various communities were completed this year under the core areas of education, human resource development, livelihoods, water and sanitation, and basic community access and drainage. The BNTF 10 cycle will end in June 2025. Mr. Speaker, this government believes that decision-making should be data-driven, and this is why the ministry is involved in data collection efforts and statistical analysis for the multiple indicator cluster surveys. This model for the collection of data allows St. Lucia to track its progress in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Mr. Speaker, the government remains concerned about the quality of life of the poor and vulnerable, the differently able and older persons. This is why we have increased pensions, implemented a minimum wage, and created a ministry for persons with disabilities to address the needs of the differently abled and vulnerable persons. Non-government organizations, NGOs involved in this area of activity continue to receive the support of this government. Mr. Speaker, the St. Lucia Labour Party has always and will always see the protection of workers and their basic right to a fair wage and fair treatment as one of its principal mandates. However, history will show that it is the St. Lucia Labour Party that has modernized labor laws, initiated equal pay for equal work, advocated for occupational health and safety, enacted a labor code, and most recently implemented a minimum wage. Consistent with this historic mission, this year, the government has allocated resources for the following initiatives. 1. Revision of the Labor Act and drafting of supporting regulations. 2. Online platform for work permit applications. 3. Development of a national occupational safety and health policy. 4. Establishment of a tripartite mechanism. 5. The establishment of a national committee to provide further support for public servants to ensure a more secure retirement. The committee will comprise of all relevant stakeholders and will be supported by actuarial pension services. The committee will report to Cabinet in 6 months. These initiatives are not just about reforming legislation or modernizing systems, they are about empowering people. A stronger and more stable industrial environment will lead to higher job satisfaction, improved productivity, and increased investor confidence. Foreign investors seeking to establish businesses in our country will be reassured by the presence of a clear, fair, and transparent regulatory framework that supports both employers and employees. By placing people at the heart of our labor policies, we are laying the foundation for sustainable economic growth, decent work opportunities, and social progress. This government remains unwavering in its commitment to bread, freedom, and justice, and ensuring that workers' rights are upheld, businesses can thrive, and our economy remains competitive in an ever-changing global economic environment. Mr. Speaker, in 1986, St. Lucia declared a commitment to gender equality for the ratification of the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, and has continued to confirm its commitment for the ratification and adoption of subsequent gender equality conventions. The last gender equality policy statement and strategy was adopted in 1991. The Department of Gender Affairs has been developing a national gender equality policy. This year, the focus is to articulate a clear roadmap for gender equality led by the government of St. Lucia. The last consultation was in February 2024. This year, it's the intention of the government to finalize that policy. Mr. Speaker, as any other state in the global system, St. Lucia aims for security, prosperity, and the well-being of its citizens. However, Mr. Speaker, small states like St. Lucia encounter distinct challenges in their development due to their limited population and economic foundation, making them vulnerable to external shocks, economic downturns, and climate-induced events. Mr. Speaker, in its foreign policy, the Caribbean continues to operate within a global environment shaped by the United States, which has historically impacted the perception and outcomes of its relationships. Over the last few months, we have been witnessing unprecedented changes in U.S. foreign policy towards the Caribbean, which has had serious implications for states in the Caribbean. For example, Mr. Speaker, in keeping with U.S. immigration laws, there has been a mass deportation of undocumented foreign nationals. Mr. Speaker, let it be clear that based on our obligation on international law, St. Lucia will accept without hesitation all its deported nationals. We will continue to pursue a cautious and principled foreign policy that promotes respect for each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty, refraining from aggression towards one another, and avoiding interference in each other's internal affairs. Mr. Speaker, we consider the Caribbean as a zone of peace and call for the peaceful resolution of the territorial dispute between Guyana and Venezuela, the removal of the embargo against Cuba and Venezuela, and the pursuit of peace and stability for the people of Haiti. In the same vein, we support the right of the people of Taiwan to self-determination and a peaceful existence. Mr. Speaker, we believe that the Caribbean is stronger when united, and therefore reaffirm our commitment to the OECS, CARICOM, and other regional institutions. Vieux-Fort Town initiatives. Mr. Speaker, this year, the government will undertake the 4 initiatives in the town of Vieux-Fort. By September, we will commence the construction of the Government Administrative Building, which will include a theater. We will complete the construction of the Entertainment Center downtown Vieux-Fort on the site of the former markets by the end of July this year. We will conduct a broad walk from the Fisheries Complex to the newly constructed Entertainment Center. We will upgrade the Vieux-Fort bus stand with toilet facilities beginning this June. Government will undertake the first step and invite designs for modern bus terminal. We will begin major renovations at the fish line facility in Vieux-Fort. The rehabilitation of the Bruce Hill Main Road will commence next month. We will commence road repairs in Cedar Heights and resurface the road from the Heineken Brewery to the Vieux-Fort Library Road Junction. Designs for the roof of the Philip Master ground will begin in May, and construction will begin soon after. We will continue discussions with the Roman Catholic Church with the view to rationalizing occupied church-owned lands. SLASPA has prepared a project for the restoration of the lighthouse at Mulashik with a view of converting it into a modern tourist attraction, and stakeholder consultations are ongoing. Invest St. Lucia is in discussions with a group of European investors with a view of rehabilitating and expanding the Vieux-Fort docks for importing of cruise ships and cargo handling. Mr. Speaker, the parliamentary representative of Vieux-Fort has been a tireless advocate for these initiatives, and I'm sure that these projects will please him and continue to improve the quality of life of the people in the South. Mr. Speaker, I now turn to some policy interventions that this government intends to pursue to engender further social and economic growth in the economy of Ireland. Land rationalization and housing development. Mr. Speaker, Invest St. Lucia, in collaboration with the Ministry of Housing, will develop a new housing development in Belvedere Canaries. The Belvedere housing development will offer a mix of affordable and mill housing options on 10 acres of land. Mr. Speaker, this year, we will enact laws to allow the Ministry of Housing to continue its work of regularizing unplanned developments across the country. The Ministry of Housing will be supported in creating new and affordable housing. In keeping the St. Lucia Labour Party's guiding principles of bread, freedom and justice, my government will institute a land rationalization policy of granting title to citizens who have been occupying less than 8,000 square feet of crown lands for more than 30 years. Mr. Speaker, to commence commenced this program, qualifying citizens occupying crown lands in areas of POM, Opika, and Ogier will be the first beneficiaries under this land rationalization program. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that there are many people living on unplanned settlements or private lands, squatting. The Ministry of Housing, working with the Ministry of Physical Development, will be mandated to take steps to regularize the tenure of these residents and ensure fair treatment to the owners of these lands. Food prices. Mr. Speaker, I share the concern of the public about the rise in food prices, particularly in our supermarkets. Mr. Speaker, please note that we in St. Lucia cannot control the cost of imported goods. As a price reducing measure, the government will remove the import duties, if any, and service charge on all price control food items effective on the 1st of June. In consultation with the private sector, the government has decided to remove VAT on a number of food items and to change the status of exempt food items to 0 rating. A full list will be prepared and published by July. The effective date is to allow for transitional arrangements and further consultation. Examples of items for which price reductions are expected as follows: cornflakes, turkey wings and necks, ketchup, cheese, butter, and chicken sausages, to name a few. Mr. Speaker, we expect to see a reduction in the prices of these items and other items when reductions are made. Mr. Speaker, we expect to see a reduction in the price of these items and other items when these are made. Mr. Speaker, in its desire to reduce the cost of food, new and affordable source markets have been identified. Government has facilitated the importation of poultry, pork, beef, and meat from Brazil in search of reduced prices. Government will consider providing assistance to importers using new source markets. Mr. Speaker, I now move to some new policy proposals. Mr. Speaker, the following policies proposals are expected. Construction of the George F.L. Charles Monument will be completed. The National Archives will be renovated with a view of moving it to a proposed National Museum. Construction of the Rock Hall housing scheme, approved by planning on the 19th of March 2025, will commence shortly. A $5 million allocation will be made to the National Housing Corporation for the construction of condominium-type houses at Talvon in Babonneau. Construction will begin in June 2025. Preliminary designs for the Ramon Polio Theatre to be located at Bellevue in the Bellevue Human Resource Development Center in Vieux-Fort have been completed and construction of the theater is due to commence in July 2025. The renovation of the Ansere Entertainment Center at Pitibuk, the former National Skills Development Center, will commence next month in May 2025. Construction for the home for the elderly in Soufrière will begin in July 2025. Funds have been secured for the construction of the Soufre Administrative Building at the site of the Town Hall. A 10-year passport will be introduced at no extra cost. Effective September this year, the Ministry of Education will be given an annual allowance of $250,000 for the purchase of feminine hygiene products for secondary schools to reduce the incidence of period poverty. Effective the new academic year, government will pay an additional 2 CXC subjects for students. One of the 2 must be a science or foreign language subject, bringing government assistance to all students to 4 CXC subjects. Students who have left school within 1 year will also be eligible. Nurses who have completed their training and upon satisfactory completion of 2 years of employment will be entitled to permanent employment provided they have been approved by the relevant authority. Government will invest in nurses attending the Alfred Lewis Community College to assist with the supply of nurses. For the academic year, commencing September 2025, first-year nursing students will receive $2,500 tuition support. Second-year nursing students receive $2,500 tuition support. And third-year nursing students will receive $5,000 tuition support. Final year nursing students will receive $10,000 tuition support. Airport service charges for Caribbean travel will be reduced by 50% from the 1st of June to the 31st of December 2025 in the first instance. Businesses investing in cybersecurity, artificial intelligence tools, and approved ICT training for staff will be allowed a tax deductible of up to $50,000. The current tax amnesty will be extended to taxes due up to 31st December 2023. The current tax amnesty program will be extended to the 1st of May 2026. The program will also include fines and penalties for late corporation filings at the company's registry. Bakers will receive a rebate on bulk gas purchase. LPG 20.22 cylinders cooking gas will continue to be subsidized. All non-established government employees who are daily paid or classified as wage earners will be given permanent employment. All government wage earners will be given permanent employment after 2 years. Over 1,900 workers on contract will benefit from this measure. Temporary teachers will now receive their full salaries for the month of August. Effective January 2025, income derived from pensions will be tax-free. A one-off payment of $600 for pensioners will be paid in November 2025. Effective 1st July, the NIC will increase pension payments in line with the Consumer Price Index. Police, fire, and correctional officers who have served for at least 20 years and reach the age of 55 will qualify for an NIC pension. Effective 1st May, next week, the price of fuel will be capped and shall not exceed $16 per gallon until 1st of July 2026. Effective 1st January 2025, the maximum allowable deductions for income tax purposes will move from $30,000 to $40,000. Within that cap, individual allowances will be the maximum child allowance, $5,000 per child under 18. Dependent relative allowance, $5,000. Mortgage will move to $40,000. University education to $10,000. Credit union shares and savings to $10,000. Investment instruments through local and regional institutions to $10,000, all within the cap of $40,000. Annual earnings of $25,000 or less will continue to attract no income tax. Medical expenses will remain uncapped. Budget financing. Mr. Speaker, it is proposed that the budget will be financed as follows. Recurrent revenue, $1 billion, $622 million at 22. $1,622 million. Going right? 22,100. Capital revenue, $6,685,000. Grants, $93,316,270. Treasury bills and bonds, $78,169,651. Loans and external funding, $257,326,879. Total, $2,057,509,900. Conclusion. Mr. Speaker, by the end of July next year, St. Lucians will have been called to make a decision. Call it. Call it. You want me to call it? You want me to call it? Mr. Speaker,
elections can be called any 21 days from now. St. Lucians would have been called to make a decision. Unlike others, who because of their own failures and lust for power, delayed the people's right to choose their own governments, we are prepared to face the people. We have no desire to extend our term to 6 years. We are proud of our work. We are confident in our achievements and the goodwill and common sense of the St. Lucian people. And so, Mr. Speaker, as we approach our date with destiny, we do so with the full assurance that individuals from every sector of St. Lucian society can point to the direct benefits to their lives from the work that we have done. We do not, like others, make empty promises. We do not, like others, when asked to account for their stewardship, can only make mistakes. We do not blame the opposition. We do not blame the people of St. Lucia. We do not and will never disparage the people of St. Lucia by calling them stupid and referring to them as having only a preschool level of education. Only those who have no natural affinity to St. Lucia can speak in those terms. Mr. Speaker, as you have seen from our budget proposals, and as you have seen from all our work that you have done in our first term, we trust that the St. Lucian people can see the positive transformation of our country. Mr. Speaker, we have introduced many successful initiatives. We are not about empty promises. Mr. Speaker, we did the things that we said that we were going to do. Mr. Speaker, we said that we do not believe that the development of St. Lucia should mean that we had to give our country to so-called developers who came with their two hands empty and swinging. Instead, we said that development should start first with the development of our people through investment in the education and in the healthcare. The advancements in our healthcare and education are there for everyone to see. We do not just make promises, we deliver. Most importantly, Mr. Speaker, unlike those who came to office to push back the historical gains of the working people of St. Lucia, this government promised to bring in a new era of respect, recognition, and reward to the people of St. Lucia. For their contribution to the growth and development of St. Lucia. We promised to protect workers and retirees, and we did. Let me remind them that we have not just talked the talk, but we have kept our pledge with sound economic leadership. Mr. Speaker, we trust that the people of St. Lucia will place themselves in the front lines of beating back against the lies and propaganda of a desperate opposition. We know the opposition very well by now, and the people of St. Lucia will be well prepared to respond to their denials of our strong performances. But Mr. Speaker, it is because we know them well, so well, Mr. Speaker, that I cannot end without addressing one of the claims that they have been making in the past months, and one that we will no doubt hear them repeating more and more. They claim, Mr. Speaker, is that vision lies with them, not us. Mr. Speaker, despite all the evidence that they have enhanced the economic and social life of our people, the propagandists on the other side have latched into the big lie that they in particular and their leader have a vision for this country. No one is explaining what they mean by vision. Mr. Speaker, vision is the capacity to plan for the future with foresight, imagination, and wisdom. Vision is the capacity to soberly analyze the prevailing local and global environment, the ability to make an objective assessment of the resources at one's disposal, and the skill to make a correct diagnosis of all the challenges of the present and the likely future risks, and the wisdom to anticipate what should be done to maximize the advantages. Vision is not about glib speeches and bluster. And yet, they try to convince some people that if you sound like that you are from another country, you have vision. Where is the vision in giving away 1,000 acres of land in Viewfort for $1 per acre? For 99 years. Mr. Speaker, it is a St. Lucia Labour Party which is a party of vision. Our people only need to pay attention to our sovereign wealth fund, the youth economy, our commitment to alternative sources of energy, and our response to climate change to reposition St. Lucia for its future survival and success. Mr. Speaker, we have a lot more work to do. For those who think that there will be new opportunities to repackage themselves, spin new lies, reinvent their past, and try to rewrite history to make their past failures look like successes, we wish to let them know the people of St. Lucia will not be fooled. No amount of spinning can make people forget how they sidelined us in the development of our country. They continue to disparage us, even our medical professionals and institutions. Mr. Speaker, we are not the animals they claim us to be. We are ambitious, hardworking, and proud people who want the best for our country. The St. Lucia Labour Party remains committed to the development and advancement of the people. We will continue working. We will remain focused. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you, the staff, the police, the civil servants, the teachers, the nurses, the public servants, particularly the staff of the Office of the Prime Minister and all other ministries, and my cabinet colleagues for their hard work and their commitment to St. Lucia. I wish to put on record, Mr. Speaker, my thanks to them and every other person who has worked to advance the country to where it is now. Mr. Speaker, I stand in this honorable house not pretending to know it all, but with a burning desire to work with my colleagues to improve the quality of life, to provide opportunities for the less fortunate, and to provide hope for the people of St. Lucia. But the Lord is with me like a mighty warrior. So my persecutors will stumble and not prevail. They will fail and be thoroughly disgraced. Their dishonor will never be forgotten. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.